So the TikTok deal just got finalized, yeah?
And here's your final copy. TikTok.
President Donald Trump signed an executive order on Thursday declaring that his plan to sell TikTok's U.S. operations to U.S. and global investors will address the national security requirements in a 2024 law. The new U.S. company will be valued at around $14 billion, Vice President J.D. Vance said, putting up.
So apparently, this whole TikTok sale just got finalized. Well, it's going to be owned by Oracle, a company called Silver Lake, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and a venture capital firm with the name Andersen Horowitz. I think he's a Jewish person. The US investors are going to hold 80% of the stake. Most of the database within TikTok is going to be pretty much hosted and controlled by Oracle. And on top of that, even the algorithm itself, I don't know what they're going to do about it in general, but I think they're working towards, I don't know, doing something about it, which might end up okay, but it might also end up in a situation where it might pretty much make people stop using TikTok or jump onto, God forbid, another Chinese app. So ByteDance is not losing control completely, despite ByteDance, which is the parent company of TikTok, losing control. So what has just happened is that ByteDance is actually allowed to collect roughly 50% of the US profits. Well, I mean, to be honest, I don't think that deal would have gone through if, well, the US was also a bit keen on the money as well. Like, you can't be like, oh yeah, national security threats and also the money, please. I think that was the give and take, you know. You get the control over the app, we get the money. And also the part where kind of saves the app to continue having almost 170 million American users continue using it, which is a big source of money and also information as well. You know, ByteDance gets to benefit in terms of the cash still comes in from a market as huge as America, and on top of that, America gets to satisfy its resolution of national security, like being able to solve that issue. And I don't know, jump onto another problem, you know. The other problem that we might see later on is the app being used for political influence, which, let's be honest, that's going to happen eventually. It's one of those cases where it will happen. And businesses in America could benefit in terms of ad and also visibility. You know, it's going to, especially considering, I think America is about to go into the midterms. And, well, the main election is not that far. As much as Trump came in this year, it's just 3 years. In 3 years' time. And even in between there's a lot of politicking that's going to go on. And having this app around could actually, be an advantage. I mean, 170 million users in America. So French officials are worried that France is colonized on two fronts. That is by China industrially and US digitally. China industrial, or the Chinese industrial colonization of France, is pretty much, it's soft power. Like, you can't even say it's colonization in general. It's just China is offering very, well, almost too good to be true kind of deals in France. And they're funding a lot of think tanks and are courting a lot of French officials. I mean, France is also, you're also responsible. Like, you just can't, you can't blame someone for bringing a good deal and for you taking it. Nobody in the EU or within your country is able to give such kind of deals. It's border situation where China is able to control a lot, especially, it's starting to control a lot, especially port holdings, minority stakeholders in, well, French maritime terminals, because those ports are very important to the Chinese as far as bringing in goods into Europe, considering right now they're facing a very big resistance as far as bringing in their cars or their products or their excess or their exports to Europe because of tariffs. Chinese have even formed clubs such as Fondé France Chine, which is a Paris-based club gathering French and Chinese elites. And you know, deals are going to be made at the end of the day. And other French officials who are not part of that. How can I say, who are not having any other French officials who are not getting a piece of the pie are concerned that France is getting colonized, and also the other parties they're also complaining about unfair competition because Chinese goods have been subsidized by the state. That's, well, yeah, like as a country, you're supposed to support your industry. But of course, and this is something I've noticed in Europe, or that there's this, oh yeah, like, like companies, or capitalism is about bootstrapping a company. But then when you look at most of the companies in Europe, you'll find a lot of bailouts, a lot of government support. But again, rules for thee, not for me kind of situation. Then on the US front, there's a digital colonization where Europe is basically being technologically dominated by the US. And the reason why is because, well, the US seems to be more geared towards investing in tech, or in the tech scene, much enthusiastically, or much harder compared to Europe. Europe tends to be very risk averse when it comes to new things or new tech. Europe has a wait and see kind of mentality. Like, yeah, let's see if it's hype or not. Europe is no longer a leader in terms of innovation, or in terms of pouring capital, or pouring interest in new ideas. One thing Europe is very good at when it comes to new ideas is regulating them. And this is pretty much opening the gates for innovation to pretty much, how can I say, be forced down your throat. And they don't have a way out of it. And there is a part where a lot of the French politicians or EU politicians are talking about making sure that Europe is independent, and also be able to build its own technological capacity, and also improve its industries. But the problem is, Europe wants big companies. It wants already established entities. That's pretty much how Europe operates. Small, upcoming, struggling entities are not encouraged. You will be regulated to the ground, because a small company coming up, or a small entity, will have to comply with the same rules a large company is trying to comply with, which is very hard. For Europe to be able to compete at the same, or to be able to come out of this situation, my idea is less regulation, less bureaucracy, and, encourage more enterprise, which means less taxations, less regulations, which holds a very, 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 very big, which is the backbone of Europe. Let's not beat about the bush. So I don't know if I trust Europe to leave something as sure as, or as safe as a safe of a practice, such as making regulations and rules, and just being bureaucrats, to venturing into the dark, enterprise, not knowing what's going to happen kind of environment. That's not Europe anymore. Used to be a long time ago. That's why a lot of the companies here, that's why a lot of the companies in Europe or a lot of successful companies in Europe, you'll find have a like 50 year, 100 years, 200 years old. You get,